The envelope in Ethan Morgan's hands contained 3 words that would destroy everything. I know everything. Rachel stood in her tiny apartment doorway, rain soaking through his coat, her eyes filled with betrayal. Behind her, 7-year-old Lily slept peacefully, unaware the man she called her best friend had been lying for 3 months. "You're him," Rachel whispered. "Ethan Morgan, the billionaire. And you never told us." But let me take you back to where this all started, 12 weeks ago, in a Manhattan cafe, where everything changed because of one little girl's honesty. The Hartley Cafe smelled of espresso and disappointment. Ethan checked his watch again, 7:15 p.m. His blind date was over an hour late. His sister Claire had insisted he needed to live again after 3 years of grief following Jennifer's death in that accident. 3 years of building his tech empire while his heart remained frozen. He stood to leave, already composing the text to Claire. No more setups. That's when a small hand tugged his sleeve. A little girl with wild curls and bright eyes stood beside him, clutching a sketchbook. "Mister, you look like someone stole your birthday cake." He blinked, startled. "I'm sorry?" "That sad face," she explained, climbing into the empty chair, "like when something good was supposed to happen but didn't. I'm Lily. Did somebody really steal your cake?" Despite everything, he smiled. "Something like that." "I thought so." She opened her sketchbook. "Mom says I shouldn't talk to strangers, but you don't look scary, just lonely." The observation hit deeper than expected. This 7-year-old had just described 3 years of his existence in one word. They talked for 20 minutes. Lily showed him drawings of dragons and castles, told him about school, asked if he had kids. When he said no, she tilted her head thoughtfully. "You should. You listen good. Most grown-ups just wait for kids to stop talking." Then the cafe door burst open. A woman rushed in, nurse's scrubs visible under her coat, exhaustion shadowing her face. "Lily!" "Mom!" The girl jumped up. "This is my new friend. His birthday cake got stolen." The woman, Rachel, looked mortified. "I'm so sorry if she bothered you." "Not at all," Ethan said quickly. "She's wonderful company." Rachel studied him with careful eyes, the kind of wariness single mothers develop. "Lily, we've talked about talking to strangers." "He was sad, Mom. You always say we help people who are sad." Something in Rachel's expression softened. "Rough night?" she asked Ethan. Got stood up, actually. Ouch. Genuine sympathy crossed her face. Their loss. "Mom, he hasn't eaten," Lily announced. "Can we share our dinner?" "Lily, we can't just—" But Ethan was already signaling the waiter. Something about this woman's quiet dignity and her daughter's unfiltered kindness made him want the evening to continue. "Please, let me buy you both dinner. Considerate payment for excellent conversation." Rachel hesitated, pride warring with practical exhaustion. Finally, she nodded. "Just dinner, and we're splitting it." Over chicken tenders and pasta, Ethan learned Rachel was a nurse at Mount Sinai, working double shifts to make ends meet as a single mother. Her ex had left when Lily was 2. She spoke without complaint, just quiet strength that made his chest ache. He kept his own story vague, worked in tech consulting, lived in the city. He didn't mention Morgan Industries or the billions or the penthouse. Something made him want to just be a regular person tonight. When Rachel tried to pay, he'd already handled the check. Outside, snow fell softly. Lily hugged his leg goodbye. "Will you be here next Tuesday?" she asked hopefully.
Ethan glanced at Rachel, who looked embarrassed but didn't object. I might be. Good. You need practice smiling. You're getting better, but you need practice. As they disappeared into the snowy night, Ethan felt something shift inside him. That frozen heart, someone had just cracked the ice.
Tuesday became sacred, then Thursday too. For 6 weeks, Ethan showed up at the Hartley Cafe like clockwork. Lily would burst through the door after school, show him drawings, tell elaborate stories, slowly teaching him how to feel alive again. Rachel would arrive exhausted at 5:30 and they'd talk about books, childhood memories, the strange ways life tested people. Easy conversation that felt like coming home. Ethan kept his identity hidden. Casual clothes, cash payments, vague job descriptions. He told himself it was to avoid making them uncomfortable. The truth, he was terrified that revealing who he really was would shatter this fragile, perfect thing. But what Ethan didn't know was that Rachel had recognized him that very first night. She'd seen his face in Forbes, in TechCrunch, on financial news. She knew exactly who Ethan Morgan was, and she'd made a calculated decision to say nothing. She understood grief, understood his need to be seen as just a person, but she also understood something else. Men like Ethan Morgan didn't stay in worlds like hers. This was temporary, a moment before he returned to his real life. So she was already preparing for the inevitable goodbye, already stealing her heart. Week 7 arrived with a crisis. Lily came to the cafe carrying an envelope. Her usual brightness dimmed. "We got a bad letter," she said quietly, sliding into the booth. "The kind that says we have to move." Ethan's stomach dropped. The eviction notice gave them 60 days. Their rent-controlled apartment was being converted to luxury condos. In New York's market, finding affordable housing was nearly impossible. "Mom thinks we might have to leave the city," Lily whispered, tears threatening. "I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave you." That night, Ethan sat in his penthouse and made a decision. He created a legitimate position, Director of Healthcare Services for Morgan Industries. Real job, real responsibilities, $180,000 salary. Enough to change Rachel's life while preserving her dignity. Thursday, he presented the offer. Rachel stared at the envelope without touching it. "What company is that, exactly?" Something in her tone sent warning bells through his mind. "I work in tech." "Morgan Industries," Rachel said quietly, but her hands trembled. "You're Ethan Morgan. The Ethan Morgan." The cafe noise faded. Lily looked up from her coloring, sensing tension. "You knew," Ethan said slowly. "This whole time? I recognized you the first night. I've seen your face enough times. I knew who you were, what you'd lost, and I knew you were lying." "Why didn't you say anything?" Ethan demanded. "Because you clearly needed to not be Ethan Morgan for a while," Rachel said. "And because I thought it was harmless. A few weeks of you being normal, then you'd go back to your real life. This is my real life now. Don't." Her voice cracked. "Don't make this something it's not. You're bored, you're grieving, and you found a cute kid and her struggling single mom to make you feel good. That's not fair. Isn't it?" She grabbed the envelope. "This job offer, is it real or charity dressed up pretty?" "It's real. The position exists and you're qualified."
Market rate for my experience is maybe 70,000. You're offering more than double. Why? Guilt for lying? Because you're worth it. Or because you feel sorry for us. Rachel stood, gathering her things. I can't work for you, Ethan. When this ends, and it will, I need to walk away cleanly. What if I don't want it to end? Before Rachel could respond, Ethan's phone exploded with alerts. His face went pale reading the screen. Morgan Industries faces federal investigation. He has to go, he said abruptly. There's a crisis. Of course, Rachel said hollowly. Back to your real life. Rachel, just go. He looked at Lily, her confused face. I'll be back Tuesday, I promise. But Rachel's expression said she didn't believe him. And honestly, neither did he. The next 3 weeks were hell. Federal investigation, media storms, emergency board meetings. The allegations were serious. A former employee claimed Ethan had covered up security vulnerabilities to protect stock prices. Tuesday came and went. Then Thursday. Ethan texted apologies. Rachel never answered. The crisis consumed everything until one night at 2 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Morgan, this is Trevor Hart, the employee who filed against you. They made me do it. Jonathan Reeves, he has something on me. He fabricated everything. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. The line went dead. Jonathan Reeves, his former partner, the man he'd ousted for embezzlement. This was revenge. By morning, Ethan had mobilized his legal team. They uncovered Jonathan's web of fraud, blackmail, offshore accounts. Within 24 hours, FBI agents were raiding Jonathan's office. The investigation was dropped. Jonathan Reeves was arrested. It was over. But when Ethan finally stood outside Rachel's Brooklyn apartment 3 weeks after he'd promised to return, rain soaking his coat, he wondered if he was too late. She opened the door, saw him. Her expression crumbled. You came back, she whispered. I promised Lily 3 weeks ago. He showed her the evidence and explained everything. Jonathan's revenge plot, the investigation, the arrests. When he finished, Rachel was quiet. So you're the hero, the billionaire who defeats the bad guy and rides off into the sunset. I rode here instead. Why? Because I love your daughter, Ethan said simply. Because in 8 weeks, she taught me how to live again. And because I'm falling in love with you. You don't know me. I know you work double shifts and still make time for art projects. I know you're proud and fierce and kind. I know when you really smile, it's like lights coming back on. He took a breath. I'm not asking you to marry me. Just let me prove I'm not going anywhere. You'll break her heart. Probably mine, too. Or maybe we all get to heal together. A small voice interrupted. Mr. Ethan! Lily stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. When she saw him, she launched into his arms. You came back. Mom said you were too busy, but I knew you would. I'm sorry I was gone so long, Ethan said, voice thick. It's okay. Lily looked between them. Seriously. Are you staying for dinner? Ethan looked at Rachel, the question in his eyes. Finally, slowly, Rachel smiled. Yeah, he's staying.
4 months passed like a dream. Rachel took the job. Not charity, but opportunity earned. She was brilliant, transforming Morgan Industries' healthcare programs with fierce compassion. They moved to a new apartment. Rachel insisted on paying for herself. Ethan picked Lily up after school Tuesdays and Thursdays. Saturday dinners became sacred. Sometimes his penthouse, sometimes their apartment, where Rachel cooked and Ethan helped, their hands brushing in the tiny kitchen. He met her hospital friends. She met his sister Claire, who pulled her aside and said, "Thank you for giving him back to us." Their first kiss happens 3 months in, on his balcony overlooking the city. Rachel had confessed her fear that this was too good to be true. "I'm scared too," Ethan admitted, "but I'm more scared of not trying. What if we mess this up? What if Lily gets hurt? What if we get to be happy?" She'd kissed him then, soft, sweet, terrifying. "I'm not used to happy." "Get used to it. I plan on giving you a lot more." But happiness was more fragile than it seemed. The letter arrived on a Thursday morning, delivered to Rachel's office. Plain envelope, unmarked. Inside, a single sheet and a flash drive. Rachel's hands shook reading it. "Ms. Johnson, your ex-husband didn't just abandon you. He stole $3.2 million from Hartwell Financial and disappeared. The FBI never found him, but they found where the money went, into an offshore account that's been accessed for 7 years. The account that paid your rent, covered Lily's medical bills, mysteriously had just enough when you needed it. You've been living on stolen money, Rachel. You're an accessory to theft. When this comes out, you'll lose everything. Your job, possibly even Lily. Unless. Convince Ethan to sell me controlling interest in Morgan Industries, and this disappears. Refuse, and I send everything to the FBI and media. You have 48 hours. J.R. Jonathan Reeves." The flash drive contained bank records, transaction histories, FBI reports, all pointing to her. She'd never known. David had left her with nothing. Then mysteriously, things got easier. Bank errors, unexpected insurance money, small amounts she'd never questioned. It had been David sending stolen money, and now it would destroy everything. Rachel sat alone in her office all night, the letter burning like an accusation. She couldn't face Lily, couldn't pretend everything was okay. If this went public, she'd lose her daughter. That thought was unbearable. When Ethan called asking where she was, she lied, said work, hung up before crying. 36 hours later, 14 hours before Jonathan's deadline, Rachel finally texted, "I need to talk. Tonight. Alone." She went to his penthouse and handed him the letter without a word. Ethan read, his expression darkening. "This is Jonathan, the same bastard? It's real. I checked. David did steal that money. I've been using it. I didn't know, but legally, that doesn't matter. Then we fight it. And while we're fighting it, where's Lily? Foster care while her mother's investigated?" Her voice rose. "Do you know what that would do to her?"
So, what are you saying? I should give him my company? Rachel wrapped her arms around herself. I'm saying I can't let Lily pay for my ex-husband's crimes. This isn't your fault. Maybe this is the universe telling me people like me don't get fairy tales with billionaires, that there's always a price. Don't. Ethan forced her to meet his eyes. Don't use his manipulation to tear us apart. I love you, she confessed, the words torn from her chest. God help me, I do. But I love my daughter more. If keeping her safe means walking away from you, from everything, I will. Ethan grabbed his phone, dialing. Mark, I need the full legal team here in 20 minutes, and get me everything on Jonathan Reeves' current dealings. Ethan, what are you doing? His eyes blazed, ending him.
The legal team uncovered Jonathan's web of fraud, blackmail, hidden assets. By 6 a.m., 2 hours before the deadline, FBI agents were raiding his office with arrest warrants. Ethan's team made a deal. Full cooperation investigating Jonathan in exchange for Rachel's immunity. With documentation proving she had no knowledge of the money's origin, prosecutors agreed she wouldn't face charges. The nightmare was over. But Rachel sat on his couch afterward, staring at nothing. I almost gave up, almost threw away everything, including you, because I was scared. You're protecting your daughter. That's being a mother. I was also running because it's easier to believe I don't deserve this than accept maybe I do. Someone like me, Ethan said softly, is completely, desperately in love with someone exactly like you. She kissed him, fierce, desperate, relieved. When they broke apart, she laughed through tears. We're a mess. The best kind. At noon, Ethan's phone rang. The FBI agent handling Jonathan's case on speaker. Mr. Morgan, we found something in Reeves' files about your fiancé's death 3 years ago. Ethan went rigid. Rachel grabbed his hand. The accident wasn't an accident. The other driver was paid by Jonathan Reeves. Murder for hire disguised as drunk driving. He wanted you emotionally destroyed so he could take the company while you were vulnerable. The room spun. We have financial records, communications, everything. Mr. Morgan, Jonathan Reeves killed the woman you loved. The call ended. Ethan sat frozen. 3 years of grief calcifying into something darker. He killed her, Ethan whispered. All this time. Rachel held him while he shattered, while rage and grief tore through him. I'm here, she whispered. You're not alone. Hours later, when he could breathe again, Ethan looked at her with wonder. Jennifer would have liked you. She'd be glad I found you and Lily. That I'm learning to live instead of just exist. Are you learning to live? Ethan thought about Tuesday afternoons and easy laughter and feeling connected beyond grief. About this woman who challenged and chosen him. Yeah, I really am. 6 months later, on a Tuesday, because Tuesdays were their day, Ethan took Rachel and Lily back to the Hartley Café where it began. Lily, now 8, bounced in like she owned it. This is where we met Mr. Ethan. After ordering, Ethan pulled out an envelope. Not a job offer, adoption papers. Lily, I wanted to ask something important. These past months have been the happiest of my life.
Would it be okay if I officially became your dad? Not to replace anyone, but to be the dad who shows up, who listens, who'll always be there. Lily's eyes went wide. She looked at her crying mother, who nodded. Does this mean I can call you Dad? If you want to. And we'd be a real family? We already are. This just makes it official. Lily launched at him. Yes, Mom, I'm getting a dad who listens. Rachel slid in beside them, and Ethan wrapped his arm around her. They sat in the cafe where it all began, Lily chattering, Rachel's hand in his. You know what's funny? Rachel said quietly. If your blind date had shown up that night, none of this would have happened. Ethan kissed her temple. Then I'm grateful for terrible matchmaking. Lily pulled back, suddenly serious. Dad, she tested the words, smiling. Promise you'll always come back on Tuesdays and all the other days? Ethan thought of all the broken promises this child had faced. He cupped her face. I promise, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere. Not ever. Okay, because you're family now, and family doesn't leave. No, Ethan agreed, looking at Rachel, at Lily, at the life they'd built. Family doesn't leave.
The adoption finalized 2 months later. Claire cried through the ceremony. Lily wore a princess dress and read a poem about families being made of love, not blood. Rachel stood beside Ethan in a simple blue dress, witnessing broken pieces forming something whole. That evening at their penthouse, they celebrated with pizza and sparkling cider. Lily ran through halls declaring herself Princess Lily Morgan of the 57th floor kingdom. Later, after Lily slept, Ethan and Rachel stood on the balcony overlooking the glittering city. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, Rachel admitted. For someone to say, this is too good to be real. It's real. Sometimes a 7-year-old tells a stranger he looks like someone stole his birthday cake, and everything changes. Rachel laughed. She really did save you. She saved both of us. So what now that we've gotten our happy ending? Ethan pulled a velvet box from his pocket. Rachel's breath caught. Now, I was hoping you'd let me make it official, again. The ring was simple, perfect. Rachel stared at this man who'd been broken and learned to live again, who loved her daughter fiercely, who'd fought for them when she'd almost given up. You're sure, because there's no going back. You'll be stuck with art projects and parent-teacher conferences and 10,000 questions a day. I'm counting on it. Ethan smiled. Genuine, alive. The woman I was engaged to. I loved her deeply. Losing her, I thought I'd lost my only chance at happiness. But then a little girl taught me hearts can heal, that love isn't finite. He slid the ring on. You didn't replace what I lost. You showed me I could build something new, something different, but just as beautiful. Will you marry me? Rachel kissed him, soft, deep, full of promise. Yes, yes to all of it. From inside, Dad, Mom, where are you? They looked at each other and laughed. Coming, sweetheart, they called in unison. As they headed inside, Ethan caught their reflection in the glass, 3 figures silhouetted against city lights, a family, whole and real and improbable. The house with no lights on had found its warmth again. And somewhere, Jonathan Reeves sat in prison, his empire demolished. The investigation meant to destroy Ethan had instead revealed him as Jennifer's murderer. Justice had arrived.
But Ethan barely thought about him anymore. Revenge had given way to gratitude for second chances and little girls who spoke truth and women strong enough to be vulnerable. His blind date never showed up that night at the Hartley Cafe, but the love of his life and his daughter walked through the door anyway, and that was exactly what he needed.